Hello there, welcome to another tutorial in continuation from our CSS. Today in our last tutorial we looked at introduction to CSS. So we're going to look at continuation. We're going to continue from there in today's class. The first thing I want to talk about is compilation. So for example, we see that in the last class we talked about background color, background image, and some other background properties. If you look at it, you realize that background color has background, the word background. Background image also have background. And so these properties, background repeat, they all have a similar word in the property name called background. So you can see this is the property name and this is the value, if you could remember. Now if you look at this, we have background hyphen color, background hyphen repeat, right? Now compilation simply means to join all these code, all these values to one property called background. So it's the same as writing background column, then I will now specify the color, say black, space, I'll give a space, right? Then I'll specify the image, I'll say URL bg2.jpg. Then I'll give a space again. Then I will now specify maybe the repeat property, maybe repeat y. So this one line of code is equivalent to these 3 lines of code. So I'm going to comment these 3 lines of code because they basically do the same thing, right? Now this helps your work to be faster, and your CSS file will be as minimal in size as possible. Okay, so this is what compilation is all about. In today's class we're going to be looking at okay, let's view that page, refresh it. You see, still the same, nothing have changed. So this class we're going to be looking at font. We're going to be doing everything about font. Okay, uh, the font properties include, okay, we have the font family. Okay, let's quickly write something to that note. ch1 fonts in CSS, right? Okay, let's have our UL li. Say the font properties include, okay, let's have a p tag. Say font properties include. Then we have the font family. We have the font family, this one property, specify the font type. Then we have the font style. Have the font style. So I just want to list them here so that when we want to look at examples, we have the font variant, then we have the font weight, yeah, whether the font should be bold. The most important of all, the font size. And then we can as well compile the font into one property called font. We can compile all of this property into one property called what? Font. Okay, so we're going to be looking at examples. The font family, if you look at if you are used to Microsoft Word or any Word document, usually deal with font family. very well. So it's just the type of the font, like the most popular font most likely is Times New Roman, Arial, Verdana, and so on. If you are used to Word. Now I'm gonna change the font family of all my li tags. Now you see I have multiple ul and multiple li tags. So I'm gonna change the font family here. Say font family should be, let's say, Arial. Now mind you, there are some fonts that have spaces in them, and so if a font has space in them, you have to put them in quote. In quote, you have to quote it. For example of font that have space in them, let's say times New Roman, for example. It has space, so you have to what, put it in quote. But when the font name has no space, for example, Arial has no space, or so you don't necessarily have to put it in quote. Okay, so now if I go back to my browser and I refresh, you realize that the font all have changed to Arial. You can see that. I can as well specify the next important property, the font style. The font style. The font style have to do with whether the font should be italics. Okay, so we could have the font style could be, the font style could, if you want it to be, it could be normal, it could be italics, right? Then it can be oblique as well. So, but most browsers don't show oblique. Let's look at this italics. You can see it's italics. Okay, let's try the oblique. The oblique is like the opposite of italics, right? Let's see. Yeah, so then it could be also normal or inherit. Okay, so let's just leave it as normal. We don't want to italize the font. The next thing is the font variant is a property that you might not use, for often like that, because it's just font variant is just just to variate the font. It has properties value of normal or small caps. So instead of maybe having the normal uppercase size, when you put the small caps, font variant, then it makes it small, like that. For example, if I say font variant small caps, let's see the effect of that. So refresh it, you can see that. So it could be normal or it could be small caps. I think we want to say normal there. Then the next font property, the font weight. The font weight is talking about whether the font should be bold. Okay, let's see. Whether the font should be bold or it should be, and how bold should it be. So that's what the font weight is all about. Okay, so font weight, let's say font weight takes value in two formats. The first format is words. So you could say font weight, you could say normal, It could have normal. Oh no, font weight could be, no, it could be bold. Bold. Oh, sorry. Font weight could be bold. It could be normal. It could be bold. It could be bolder. So that's bolder, much bold. Okay, but let's stick with bold. If we refresh our page, see the font is bold. That's the first type of value that the font weight takes. However, the font weight also takes value from numbers, but these are numbers in what? In hundreds. So it could take value from 100 to 900, right? So 900 being the bolder like that, so you could variate the font weight from 100 to 900. For example, if I say font weight, I could say 900. That means very, very bold, right? 900, very, very bold. You see, it's even bolder than before. Or I could maybe say font weight, maybe 500. So fairly bold, right? Okay, it's fairly bold. Font weight 500. You see that? Or I could say 700, for example. Font weight 700. You see that? Okay, the last property we're gonna look at under the font, then we can compile the font, is the font size. So these are just the key mostly used font, but however we still have other font properties, such as if you look at it from my Sublime text, you can see it's giving me more font properties, right? But these are things that properties that you you might never use them in in your life, because they are not as very important as these five. So the last one is the font size. The font size, as the property specify, helps you to give size in number to your um, text. Now the font size takes value in number, but however the unit, there are so many units of measurement in CSS. Unit of measurement, sorry, let's do this. So unit of measurement in CSS includes, but not limited to, include, then we have the pixel, px, comma, we have the percentage, comma, we have the inch, like this, comma, we have the rem, we have the emphasis, the em, sorry, em, then we have the pt, the point. What else do we have that I can remember? We have the this inch, not inch, like this. Okay, yeah, then we have uh, okay, so these are the basic ones I can remember now. We have the cm, yeah, we have the cm, centimeter. What other unit can I remember? So for example, if you look at the font size, I can say font size, I'll say maybe 20 pixels. So it takes 20 pixels of your computer screen for the font size. Let's refresh that and see what do we have. Good, you can see what 20 pixels is gonna give us. Or I can make it smaller than that, say 10 pixels. So that was 10 pixels. Let's see that. Wow, smaller. Okay, so let's stick to maybe 20 pixels. Let's just stick to 20 pixels. Okay, I'm gonna refresh that. Okay, 20 pixels. Lastly, we're gonna look at compilation of font. So all these font properties, could be compiled to one property called font. So if you look at this, I can just say font, then I specify all these values, say Arial, that's the font family, give a space, normal, give a space, font variant, normal, give a space. We have the font weight 700, give a space, font size 20 pixels, and then you save it. So I'm going to comment these guys out like this, and then I'm going to refresh my browser to see what have changed. Okay, good. Now, wow, okay. Now compiling fonts. If you want to compile font, you're gonna have to start with the sorry. You're gonna have to start with the, let's say, the font style. Start with the font style. Comes this way. The font sorry. The font family goes last, right? Then the font weight comes as number 2. So when you want to compile the font, you might you have to skip some ambiguous, you know, properties like the font variant, so that the CSS engine could, you know, understand. So you have to specify values that won't be ambiguous. For example, if I do this, then I should have a good result like this. Yeah, but then if I'm going to specify, you know, double normal, or for example, let's say I specify italics now, italics, okay, italic like this. Now it works. So some the numbering, the properties have to be arranged in such a way that the CSS engine should understand. So area comes last, uh, then font size second to the last, font weight third to the last. All other properties that are words can come like that. Okay, so pretty much this is fonts in CSS. We're gonna stop here today, and we're gonna look at text property in our next class tomorrow, and then we're gonna look at the IDs and groups, then links, and so on. Okay.